All right. Today we're diving into a story that's, well, it's pretty powerful. It's all about how fast things can just completely fall apart. The title is Ek Galatfami Sat Chitian, which translates to One Misunderstanding, Seven Letters. Kind of gives you a hint of the heartbreak to come, right?
So, the story kicks off with a situation that I think we've all seen or maybe even been in. You've got Arav and Kavya. They're college friends, super close, and that friendship, it's slowly turning into something more. You know that feeling, right? It's blossoming into love. But here's the kicker, the part that sets everything in motion, Bardono Chupte. They were both silent about it.
So yeah, let's dig into that first part, the foundation of these feelings that nobody's talking about.
And look, this isn't just some passing crush. Their connection is really deep, you know? It's built on a solid friendship. And that shift from friends to something else, it's so delicate, so fragile. You can just imagine them, both feeling it, both knowing it's there, but they're stuck. They're trapped in that awkward space, and both are just too scared to be the one to say something first. But that silence, it doesn't just hang there. It creates a vacuum, like a void. And what happens with vacuums? Something always rushes in to fill them. In this case, it was one single moment. A moment that became the catalyst, the spark that just blew the whole thing up. And here's how it all goes down. It's like a perfect, tragic chain reaction. Arav, he finally gets the courage to do something. He writes a love letter. This is it, right? A moment of pure hope. But then, right before he can give it to her, he sees Kavya, and she's laughing with some other guy. And just like that, in a split second, all that hope just sours. It curdles into this awful assumption. He didn't ask, he didn't wait, he just saw one thing and concluded the absolute worst. And this is the thought that becomes the villain of our story. She likes someone else. That's it. It's not a fact, not even close. It's just a story he made up in his own head, based on a single, out-of-context snapshot. But that story? It takes root. It becomes his reality, and it starts controlling everything he does next. So this leads us right into the fallout, the absolutely devastating consequences of not speaking up, which is now made even worse by him pulling away out of hurt. Okay, so at this point, it's like they're living in two completely different movies. In Arav's movie, he's the victim. He's hurt, he's angry, and pulling away feels totally justified. He's just protecting himself, right? But in Kavya's movie, her best friend, this guy she's falling for, has just gone cold. For no reason. She's completely confused, racking her brain trying to figure out what she did wrong. And the tragedy is, she did absolutely nothing. And you can just see how that one single moment starts to set like concrete. What began as a flash of misunderstanding turns into weeks of that horrible, awkward silence. Then those weeks turn into months of just distance. Their entire connection is just eroding, day by day, and it all builds up to this one final, crucial moment on Kavya's birthday.
And this is the climax. This is where the truth finally makes an appearance. But, the timing is just tragic.
So it's her birthday. Kavya walks up to Arav and hands him an envelope. And she has this little smile on her face as she says, "These are letters written for you." Can you just imagine being Arav in that moment? You're completely baffled. You're probably expecting, I don't know, an invitation or something, and instead you get this mystery. He opens it up, and inside, there are 7 letters. 7. An entire history of everything she was feeling right there in his hands. And get this. During that whole time, all those weeks and months that Arav was so sure Kavya liked someone else, what was she actually doing? She was writing these letters. To him. He was living in this fake world he'd built out of one wrong idea, while her reality was the exact opposite. I mean, the irony is just brutal. It's absolutely devastating. And then it just hits him like a ton of bricks. All that anger, all that distance he created, it was for nothing. It was all based on a lie he told himself. And the first thing he can get out, just filled with regret, is, "Why didn't you tell me?" Her answer is so simple, but wow, it is so powerful. She just says, "Perhaps you never asked." And with those 4 words, she just gently hands the responsibility right back to him. Because it's true, right? He built this entire soap opera in his head, but never, not once, did he just ask her, the one person who actually knew the truth. And in that moment, that awful, crystal clear moment, we get to the final lesson of this whole story, and it's one you can't undo.
Just when you think, okay, maybe they can fix this, the truth is out. But then Kavya delivers the final gut punch. She says, but Arav, I am seeing someone else now. And just like that, the window closes. That little window of opportunity they had, it's gone, shut forever by all that silence.
She lays it out for him, plain and simple. Your delay changed everything. See, it wasn't just the misunderstanding itself that was the problem. It was the time. All that time they lost while he was stuck in his own head. His hesitation to just ask one simple question, that's what sealed their fate.
And that really is the heart of this entire story, isn't it? It shows you how a tiny little seed of an assumption, if you water it with silence, can grow into this huge, tangled mess that you can't get out of. It becomes an irreversible reality. It's a tough lesson. The timing, well, timing can be just as important as the feelings themselves.
So what are we supposed to take away from all this? Well, first off, assumptions are not facts. They're just stories you tell yourself. Second, silence is not your friend. It doesn't protect anything, it just builds walls. Third, the only cure for this stuff is direct communication. Just ask the question. And finally, the most painful one, time and opportunity, they are not going to wait around for you. They just aren't.
The story really wraps it all up with this one beautiful, heartbreaking line. Sometimes love is understood too late and life waits for no one. Man, that's just a universal truth right there, isn't it? It's about regret, about timing, and about all those chances we let slip by because we were too afraid to just talk.
And that brings us to the end of our breakdown. It's a tough story, but it's one that really forces you to look in the mirror. It leaves us all with one really simple but incredibly powerful question to think about.